Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in Palm Beach County. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Hopportunities, Indo Board, and Lotus Trips for travel and retreats to Palm Beach County. Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones, sitting at the Media Zone desk with a couple cool dudes. Dr. James Spencer, how you doing today?
Always good to see you. You know that.
And I believe we have a special guest with us today, don't we?
Well, special but simplistic. We got a guy who loves golf, cigars, clearly beards, and a shit ton of whiskey.
Yep.
Bill, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you in Media Zone. What do you think of the studio?
This thing is definitely high tech. It's way too classy for me. The walls are painted black. I really like that. But this is all like I feel like this might turn into a Saul episode or oh my gosh, pretty soon.
That's awesome. You know, I love scaring people when they come in, horror movie. We're not trying to give anyone anxiety here,
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Anxiety is my middle name, but it's okay. I'm just going to work through it with this due south.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, John from Hopportunities, by the way.
Man, the myth, the legend. Thank you, John.
So why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about you and what you're up to in Palm Beach County?
Wow. How long do we have?
I think we have two more cases of these.
All right, perfect. Yeah. We're great. I'll go out there and you know what's going to happen. So I moved down here. I'm originally from New Jersey. I moved down here in 2004 because I wanted to pursue a professional golf career. And I moved down and trained, practiced. I think right around 2007. I eventually withdrew my amateur status and played for about a year and a half or 2 years on some mini tours and qualifiers and stuff like that. And, it's great practice round player, but once you get on that first tee box and they're like, now playing out of, Princeton, New Jersey, and they announce your name, it's like, this is a little different. So, I had the game, but the mental game was kind of tough for me because that's a lot of pressure. People were like, I could make 100 3-footers. I'm like, all right, we'll make 1 3-footer when it's either you making your rent or you having to live in your car for the next month until you win some more money. Mm-hmm. So, whatever, that's that. I was always in the hospitality industry. My family in New Jersey, growing up 70s and the 80s, owned a restaurant, bar. I was always involved in it. Like I was 5 years old in 1985 with my Karate Kid outfit on.
Oh yeah.
Behind the bar, behind my, my dad's bar, washing the glassware, which is probably, child labor laws, today would probably frown upon that, but it was the 80s and who cares?
Free labor.
Yes.
Exactly. Especially if you're family. So, I come back from college in 1999 and I'm like, I want to play, I made a decision because I wanted to play golf. We come from a baseball family. My father played for the Giants in minor leagues and the Phillies, for a little bit. And baseball's in my family, even on my mom's side, baseball's in my family. And, so I was like, I'm done. I want to play golf now. The best thing to do is I'm going to bartend at night and I'm going to practice golf during the day. So that's what happened. And I'm finally it was, all right, now I'm going to move down here. Now I still have to make money. So the bartending was still there, but it turned into doing spirit seminars and running bar programs. And then it turned into building bars and bar programs and stuff like that. And I was commuting from Deerfield Beach to Miami Beach, like the Soho Beach House, like six times a week. And so I would go to practice in the morning and then at night and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I learned a lot about spirits in that, 20 years in the hospitality industry. And I got older, injured. Golf's kind of like the door shutting. I'm like, all right, I tried it. I'm okay. I tried it. I went after it and it didn't work, but I tried it. I still play golf. I still love it, but it's not that serious for me now.
So you're saying when you clock in at the bar, someone doesn't announce your name?
Yeah.
Say, Bill, here to pour your drink.
It would be so much different. I probably forget everything if that
okay.
happened. So now, fast forward and I'm working in Lake Worth and we're rebuilding. It used to be called the Cottage and CWS now. And I meet Emily, and she's a writer, director, producer of everything and all things film. And she's a genius. And for 4 months, she's like, hey, do you still want to do this? Or do you want to start a show? Let's shoot a show where you go around the country and you talk about whiskey and you talk to the distillers. Because I knew all the distillers because I was in the industry.
Sure.
And for 4 months, I was like, you've lost your mind. You're absolutely crazy. I want nothing to do with this. And then finally, whatever hurricane hit, whatever year that was, maybe 3 years ago, we drove from here to New Jersey, and I'm just like cursing out everything. I was like, can't believe we're driving to New Jersey, because she had to go up there. I didn't even want to go up there. She had to go up there.
Sure.
Anyway, so finally on the way back, it's like we're in Georgia and it's 4 a.m. and I'm hydroplaning doing 30 miles an hour because the hurricane came around and now it's in Georgia, and I had to get back to open the restaurant. So I'm like, we got to pull over. I was like, there's no point. So we had a husky, her husky, and we had 2 cats that she rescued that were kittens in a box. And I'm laying back at 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm laying back and the cats were just going, and they're hitting my hat. This is like, and then she's like, you want to do the show? And I'm like, let's just do the show. Like I freaked out. I was like, we're doing the show now. So then that's it. So then, we get our investors and stuff like that. And we shoot this whole first season of Binger Stash. And it was amazing. Like it was experience of a lifetime, 15, 16 states, 32 different locations, flying from getting drunk in Boynton Beach at Sweetwater, and then getting on a plane 2 days later, this is September, going to Colorado and filming in Colorado. And then the day after, getting on like a puddle jumper, like a prop plane, and flying into Salt Lake City. I've never been to Utah, like Johnny Utah. They've never been to Utah ever. And then it's like, we're in September. And then 3 days ago, we're sweating, in Boynton. And now we're driving up this mountain to Park City, Utah, to High West Distillery. And it's a whiteout. And I'm like, we're driving the minivan. Like we drove minivans. It's like all around. And I have Frank Sinatra Christmas album on in September. It's just a whiteout. We're all singing. Like that's what we experienced. Like it was something unique every time we were all over the place. It was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome. So now we're just chilling with face masks on, waiting for everybody to give us the go ahead
to start drinking whiskey again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty funny. I read an article. There's 101 or 102-year-old guy. He got corona and he beat it. And his family is from Pittsburgh, and they were, in Pittsburgh during the Spanish influenza in, what was it, 1918
or something?
1918. And his dad, this guy's father, was quoted by like one of the newspapers. He's like, people who drank whiskey survived. People who didn't. Like, you drink whiskey to survive. And literally, like, that's been my whole mentality since all this nonsense started. Is you gotta have at least 120 proof, maybe 2 or 4 ounces a day, and
Grandpa's cough syrup.
Exactly,
Hey.
exactly. And you get some sun. You go for a run or something. You get some exercise, and you should be okay.
Fresh air too.
Fresh air. Yeah.
I think we've drank some whiskey at Sweetwater once or twice as well.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely dangerous.
From what I can remember,
it's the viper pit in that place. Like
Viper pit.
Once you get in there, like
you ain't leaving.
You ain't leaving.
No.
No, you definitely. That's what makes it so great. Yeah.
And, yeah. Shout out to those boys. I know that we've had plenty of experiences there, and always a good fun time.
Yeah. You go into the back bar, the gentleman by the name of Bret Hart. You go in and say, "Oh, let me get a shorty and a brown ghost." And it's like, we came up with that. So shorty is like literally like a rocks glass full of like some kind of beer, something light, and then a brown ghost is whatever whiskey. Like you have no idea what it is. It's a ghost. It's whatever kind of whiskey. Shorty and a brown ghost.
Little mystery.
That's right.
I like that.
It's always great.
Keeps you guessing.
Yeah, that. And we used to play a game at CWS called Kick the Cork. And, you know, people would come in, they sit at the bar, and I'd give them a cork, and they would cover their eyes, and they just go and throw the cork. And whatever bottle they hit, that's the bottle they had to drink. And it got pretty dicey there. You know,
it's almost like the Jersey Boardwalk right there, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to hit something in the,
exactly.
the ring or something.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's come close to hitting like the $2,000 an ounce bottle and hits like the $500 an ounce. I'm like, the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
You have to play by the rules.
Sorry.
Yeah, you just have the well bottle in your hand and be like, oh yeah, this is the one that you hit.
It's the one you hit.
Yeah,
$500.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got a tip on that too.
Yeah, exactly. It's gratuity, man.
Yep.
Only 18% though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I mean, that's the minimum.
Sure.
I always felt that my services required more than that. I'm not gonna lie. I give you the 30% time. If you want the 18% time, I'll give you the 18% time.
I'll leave you alone.
That's awesome. It's cool that you've sort of taken all the different things that you love in life and you just said, hey, this is what I want to do, you know? And we were watching some of your YouTube videos and Instagram stuff before, and it's just like, man, I want to go drink some whiskey on the golf course with you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. We're going to start doing, we're going to have guests, you know?
Sure.
Everybody gets their own bottle because of, you know, whatever's going on. And, you know, we're going to do, so the Bill Binder show, that's the golf course reviews. This was actually something that Emily made me do because I've never been in front of the camera before. So we actually did these episodes just to train me to be like camera, I don't know, aware.
Friendly.
Yeah, camera friendly. It's like, it's okay, you know, and I sit there and I start going like this or like stamping my feet and I start shaking. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just talking. She's like, no, you're convulsing. And like, I have no idea. So this is actually just something to prep. And you know, we've, you know, now in between shooting the first season of Binder Stash and the second season, it's like, well, what are we going to do now? It's like, well, let's just continue the Bill Binder show. And now it's gaining traction. And, you know, we just had a big conversation yesterday with somebody, somewhere that's very interested in picking it up. And it's like, well, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's all for fun, but this is strictly for fun. And, you know, that would be really, really awesome.
Well, and that's why people might relate to it, you know, no pressure. You're just out there doing your thing.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not like, so it's not just me alone. It's other people. And, you know, the whiskey community is awesome. You know, any community is awesome. You know, you just have people that love one thing, you know, and if they don't, then you could talk about it and it's okay because everybody's got their own opinion, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, a palate's a palate. Like, something that's good to you might be crap to me or vice versa.
Sure.
Nobody's really wrong, you know, but there are wrong things, you know, there are wrong things that can be said, but, you know, generally if it's an opinion, you can't be wrong. But there's always has been this, like, it's changing now, but there's always this idea of this, you know, like monocle wearing, you know, prestige with the freaking tuxedo and
bow tie,
you know, looking down your nose at the color of the whiskey and then slurping it at 100 miles an hour, like Psalms do to like get all the aeration so you can, you know, taste it, and then coming up these ridiculous descriptors that make no sense.
Yeah.
Like the essence of slightly burnt melon. And it's like, what are you talking about? Shut up. It doesn't make any sense. You know, like there's descriptors, and it's a general thing, like baking spices, brown butter, brown sugar, baked bread, marzipan. That's like the furthest, most ridiculous thing that I'll go, because like peanut brittle, cherries, dark fruit, leather, like that's a basic, like right here, like that's it. Mm-hmm. You know, anything after that, you're just kind of like, I'm different. I'm like, no, you're not.
Sounding fancy.
Yeah, just be quiet. It's just like, doesn't make sense. So but I want to get away from that because like there's still people out there like, oh, like high snobbity, like hoity-toity, uppity, like dicks. Yeah. You know, I just like they're dicks. Like and they're not cool.
And
like,
they have their own niche.
And they have their own niche.
You don't have to absolutely.
Exactly. You know, like people ask them a question like something simple, like, you know, I just started drinking whiskey. You know, what's a good whiskey? And they're like, you know, like, all right, fine. You just go over there with all those other people, and now I you know, this is a friendly community. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. You know, you want to ask questions.
What adjectives you use to describe the
blend. Anything. You know, it's like, even if it's a dumb question, you know, you don't want to scoff at somebody. You know, they're just trying to learn, and then, you know, that's the beauty part of learning new things. Like, you have to ask people that already know. So the Bill Binder show, you know, when I go on the golf course, it's like I'm swinging from the bottle, and I give a couple descriptors, but, you know, they're basically going to be the same thing. And the thing that I focus on more, the thing that I focus on more with the Bill Binder show is so you have three parts of your palate. You have the front, you have the middle, and you have the back. And you know, the front part of your palate picks up the sweet, more of the sweet tones and the lighter tones, and then the middle part picks up more of like an earthy tone. Well, you know, for me, you know, and then in the back, and the baking spices, and in the back, then that's when you get the kick from like an oak or, you know, whatever, and then depending on, you know, how high a percentage of alcohol your palate can take, you know, then you get that burn in the back, you know, and then it either lingers or it doesn't. So I'm looking for, you know, I taste whiskey, you know, just to taste it on the show, but things that really separate themselves from the norm are full palate blasters that linger and like that are high proof. And I really, really like that kind of stuff. But as far as I can, and the price, you know, that you're not going to pay $500, $600 for something ridiculous like a Blanton's that's like $40. You know, it's like the secondary market now it's disgusting, and, you know, sometimes it's offensive and whatever, but there's still deals out there, and people look over some certain bottles because they don't see the label, but it's actually great stuff, and it's like $30-$40. JTS Brown Bottle and Bond is $11.99, and I put that up against Pappy Van Winkle 23. That's $3,500 on the secondary market. I blinded like 3 guys, didn't even know. I was like, here, try that, and they all picked the JTS Brown $12 bottle. And, you know, like, people don't really know it, but they should. And, you know, that's what I concentrate on, and just having a good time and lip syncing, you know, 90s rap in the beginning, because that's what I grew up listening to. You know?
That's what I respected about you when I first got onto your content. I'm like, all right, this guy's my level here.
Yeah.
I know. I think I had some lo-fi hip hop playing. I should have had that Wu-Tang blasting when you got here.
Dude, I mean,
36 chambers, baby.
Absolutely. I like a lot of stuff. You know, I'm a Van Halen guy, like David Lee Roth Van Halen. You know, I love 80s.
Not Van Hagar.
No, absolutely not. That's like a blasphemous comment.
I know.
Yeah. But, you know, and I like the Grateful Dead, and I like Jimi Hendrix, and I love Fish, and I like Rachmaninoff. You know, I can't do country. I'm not a country guy. That's the only thing I can't do. But yeah, I like it a lot. But 90s hip hop was really just like, all right, before I go start drinking whiskey, what am I going to do to pump myself up in the car? Hey, record this. And then I lip sync, and then, like, that's how it started. It's just like these things just all started from just having fun, and, you know, it's great.
Well, I think what's cool, and Spence and I I'm sure he was thinking it when you said it, was, you know, you just have to start and do something. And that was sort of what we did with this show, was like almost like a warm up. You know, we're like, let's just start bringing some people into the community and highlighting people. We don't really know what we're doing on episode 1, you know.
That's awesome.
Had no clue.
But, like, people who listen can see the progression. Like, you can definitely see on the first episode of Binder Stash where, you know, I'm comfortable, but it's kind of like I'm nervous. And then the last one, I'm like, you know, freaking out, because you just get more, you know, acclimated to your surrounding.
Do you think you're just more self-aware of who you are, and you're a little bit more open with it?
You know, I'm 40 now, And I think it's just
You don't give a shit.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just don't care anymore. Like when I have no hair, I like I try to hold on to it for such a long time and I freak out about it. Like, like I can't lose my hair. Like I can't lose my hair. Like I'm not going to be like my dad had the supreme side comb over, like,
Oh yeah.
like the champion of it. And, he tried to hold on to it until his like 50s. And I'm like, I can't do it. So, it's like, I'm 40 now. Like, I don't care. Like, I just want to stay in shape and, I want to be healthy.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't care.
And we've always had like a saying that like our next podcast is our best podcast. It's like every single time that you come in here, you learn, you get better.
Don't know what to expect.
Sometimes you fuck up, sometimes you nail it.
Yeah, always.
And I mean, we've had an absolute blast and we've had such cool people in here and it's still growing. And so it's exciting to hear that you took that leap because I think a lot of people get stuck. I don't know where to start. I don't know what camera I need. I don't know what microphone I need. And that's kind of why we opened Media Zone was let's take all that out of the equation for people that want to start creating content. And really with the pandemic right now, it's the perfect time to have a documentary, have a podcast, have a YouTube series. Everyone's sitting at home,
Everybody's sitting at home just watching TV.
Yeah.
I mean, how many push-ups can you do?
Sure.
You do 300,000 crunches a day. It's just like, all right, now what? It's raining outside. You can't even go out.
So to throw it back to the start of the conversation, did you keep those two kittens that gave you the nudge?
Yes. Yes. Gigi and Pickle.
Oh.
You owe them a thank you.
Yeah, probably. Bop, 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 bop. They were literally like, just say yes, just say yes. It's like, okay. Yeah, they're cool.
So one thing I'd like to touch on being a bearded brother is the logo on your hat. Tell us a little bit about how that's got started.
So when I was at CWS, just was right after we opened it, and in the hospitality industry, a lot of hands change. The turnover rate. People are moving on. Blah blah blah. Whatever. So it's a Friday night, and I go in the kitchen during the rush, and one of the chefs was a tattoo artist, and I'm like, hey man, and I turned sideways, and I was like, you see this side profile with my flat bill hat and then my nose, and at this time, like if you notice, the beard is shorter. So this is when my beard was just past my chin, and I was like, listen, I need a side profile with a circle around it. I was like, something easy. Let's not go crazy. He's like, okay, no problem. I'll work on it. Then he does this general, I think I have a picture on my phone of like what the first thing looked like. I think I tried to do it, and then he tried to fix it, and then he ended up leaving it. And then my bar back, his name his street name is Dome. That's his Dome Face, like Dome Face Killer.
Sure.
That's his graffiti artist name. That guy is legendary. He's got work all over West Palm Beach, or Palm Beach, everywhere. I was like, listen, you need to take this over. This is like 6 months later. I was like, you need to take this over. So he takes it over, and he's like, he does it. We have a twirly mustache, and I'm like, no, get that out of here. It's like, this is not Mr. Peanut. Like, no, I don't want that. So literally the variation on the mustache was like took the longest. It was like, come on, let's just nail this. This is a mustache, and it's only one side. It's like one line. This is getting ridiculous. So we ended up settling on it, and then it's like, okay, where's the hat guy? And then one of my other buddies, he was like, I got a guy. And I was like, well, let's do it. And that's how it came. This is how this label came to, or the logo came. And it was like a year over something so simple. There's like so many steps. I was like, why is there so many steps? It's like, draw it, get a stencil, put it on the freaking hat. But no, it just took forever.
Well, I got to give a shout out to Mike over here, because that's how ours started too. With, hey, this is my idea. I drew it, hand drew it, sent it to him. He said, no, that's not going to work. Let me work on it. And
yeah, initially you had like a J and an S as like the arm and leg on each side, like a J and an S.
Gotcha.
And I was like, oh, it's a little too complex. Like, I think go minimalistic.
But yeah,
because
the simplest logos are the ones that people go crazy over. Yeah, absolutely.
But he was like on the right path, and I was just like, gave it my flair. And it's cool to see that you've kind of been able to, I mean, even with your relationship, you just are leveraging your network really well. Like, you just seem really friendly, and then you take these people and you're like, how can we all kick some ass together?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
That's how you got to do. It's like you give them. It's funny where I am now, in life, and I look back at like the things that like I used to get so angry at, and the things that I used to consume myself with, and I think about it, I'm like, well, why was I stressing out about stuff that like I either had no control over or stuff that was out of my grasp, like I was getting mad at like stuff that I had no control over.
Sure.
So it's like now I'm like, okay, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not dealing with it. I don't need to deal with it because it's something that I not need to focus on. You just gotta, I'm always learning. Like I'm no guru at anything. I was a freaking mess for a decade. I was an absolute like a mess. Like talking about like 48-hour benders and like off my rocker mess. And I grew out of it. It's like I don't bother with it anymore. It's not good for you.
Sure.
And it makes you go crazy. So I'm here now, and I want to. I just want to enjoy what I have, and it's not that I don't want more or I want better, but I want to be able to work on it to be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of all three of us can say the same message. It just goes back down to simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have to worry or stress over some of the semantics and you live that simple life, every day's a grateful day.
Yeah,
right?
and that's for people that have the ability to do that.
Correct.
Like I like I said, like going back, like I was always in a position where I was. Ooh, I keep doing that with my knee. I'm so sorry.
Worries.
I
Emily will yell at you.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah. You're like, you're convulsing at the podcast
exactly.
table.
You better stop it. put your finger on. Put your finger on your thumb on your knee and just think about it while you're talking. I'm like, okay, fine, that'll work.
Amazing.
And like you were saying, people who have the ability to do that, to not worry and make it simple. But some people are in situations where that's not possible, and things are tough. And I'm sure we've all been there. I mean, rarely there's people that haven't been there in their life where things get really, and like heavy, I guess you could say. And I've been there, and it sucks, and it's terrible things, but it all depends on how you push yourself to get away from that or get out of that situation. Work harder to alleviate this, and then maybe something else will happen. Because I am a classic case of falling in a rut, like in a groove. Like I'm comfortable here, I could do better, but I like at a bartending job, like it's working 80 hours a week. And it's like, well, I could be making, somebody's like, you can make more money here working half the time and have more responsibility and then further your career. And I'm like, well, this is comfortable.
Yeah.
Like working 80 hours a week is comfortable. And I would rationalize
Sure.
that. It like, doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
Like now that I think about it, it's like, what are you, an idiot? But like, that's it's all a growing experience to me.
As long as you can learn from it,
Right. Exactly.
And it seems like you have that ability to be like, I could do a little better here, but I'm cozy there.
Right.
So
like it was the taking the leap, the risk of being in something comfortable and knowing like you had that, and then maybe making it was the fear of making the wrong life decision that'll make your life worse, even though you're comfortable right now. So like, it took her 4 months to convince me to take this. I mean, I'm talking like me doing something for 20 years that I knew I was going to make money every night. I knew I was going to pay my bills. I knew I would always have a job.
And you were good at it.
I was good at it. And then take this leap into something that like a TV show that could fail, that I have no idea what I'm doing because I've never been in that situation before. And like, that was the most nerve-wracking decision I've probably ever made in my life, was leaving the hospitality industry to shoot this pilot, which might have worked and might not. And, fortunately enough, it did, but it was a risk.
Well, you sort of have this like Joe Rogan meets like Mike Rowe something going on. Like,
I'll take it.
Yeah,
dirty jobs, baby.
or like even like Man vs. Food on the Food Network. Like, he doesn't use sophisticated words a lot of time. He's like, that's hot as hell or whatever.
Yeah.
And like,
It's like a normal person.
relatability, right?
Yeah. Relatability.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, a floral essence of creme brulee, and like, you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Shut up. Like, maybe you can taste that, but I can't relate. I can't relate to what you're saying.
Not many people have been to a schooling.
But yeah, I mean, maybe people. I mean, we're talking about whiskey here because like I just kind of jumped over to creme brulee, and people are probably like, "What the hell is he talking about?" It's just. Don't get me wrong. There's people's palates that are way more developed than other people's palates, but when you're talking about the regular guy or regular person, you see a lot more women that are drinking whiskey these days. Now, I mean, it's progressing into this younger crowd. There's 20 somethings that are drinking whiskey where 10 years ago it was like, give me a vodka Red Bull. People are still drinking that, but it's like, vodka pays the bills. It doesn't matter. Vodka, hands down. You buy a $7 bottle of vodka and you charge $15 for a bottle, a shot, and there's 14 drinks in a bottle. 2 ounce pour, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to pay the bills. And it's easy. But now you're seeing this the younger generation. No matter how ridiculous their thought process is these days. But you see them drinking whiskey, and it's a great thing. And whiskey, American whiskey, bourbon has been on this steady incline, and like the bubble's not going to burst anytime soon. Mm-hmm. The supply and demand, unfortunately, is getting, you're getting to a point now where it's the prices are jumping, but that's how it is with everything. One person rides a bike and it's $5, and 500 people want the same bike for $5, and you got to hire more people to build the bikes, and now your cost is higher. So now it's $100. It's just the nature of the beast, just how it's going to happen. But there's a lot more, way more cool, calm, and chill people in the whiskey world than there was 15 years ago, and I love it. It's great.
And I think there's a time and place. Like, sometimes you want to just go have like a neat shot of like Jack Daniels or Wild Turkey.
Absolutely.
And then other times you want to be like, I want an old fashioned muddled with a cinnamon stick and all the things.
You want a Manhattan, you want any of that. So the classic cocktails that have been around forever.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Cocktail, the movie. It's Cocktail. I was a bartender.
Sure.
I was a bartender at TGI Fridays in 1999 with the red and white striped shirt on, with my freaking flare on my suspenders, flipping bottles like an idiot because I thought it was a cool thing to do. And that movie actually took the cocktail genre. They took it back into the medieval times because now people wanted the show and they wanted the sweet, and the sugar was added and the preservatives, and quicker is better. And for a decade there, it like cocktails like lost their light. They lost their way, their purpose, and their place in the world. And in the mid 90s and moving on, then it got back into the cocktail world, like real cocktails. Like, you don't mind waiting 2 minutes for the bartender to make a drink because it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And 100-seat bars went back to 6, 7, 8, 9-seat bars because you have more of a one-on-one, connection with the bartender. It's more like an intimate, conversation of what you like and what you don't like. And
or someone to talk shit with.
Someone to talk shit with,
too.
or talk shit about someone else.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want a Jager bomb? No, get out of here. I'll make your Jager bomb with the smokiest scotch ever. Like, people would have come up and asked for mind erasers, and we would do like Ardbeg mind erasers, like the smokiest scotch ever, and make a mind eraser with it. And you know, oh, you want a woo woo or a pink lady, like 80s cocktails, like we would make them with the smokiest scotch ever, just to like see what people's reaction were. And believe it or not, some people actually liked it.
Sure.
And so now you're getting into this. I've trained kids and I say kids in their like 21, 22. They're kids to me. You know, they could be my kids realistically. And they're like, I'm a mixologist. I'm like, oh yeah, you're a mixologist? Okay. And they can make when we go back to the Vieux Carré, or they can make a Manhattan or a 50-50, you know, or an old fashioned, and they make it perfect. And they're like, make me a Bay Breeze, make me a Madras, and they're like, well, what's that? Like, you call yourself a mixologist and you don't know how to make the most simplistic cocktails ever. It's like this whole thing with like bar chef and all like these titles. Like, shut up. Like, that's the dumbest. When you become a bartender, right? The first thing you are is a slinger, and that's like JB's, you know, vodka soda, Jack and Coke, gin and tonic, 4 shots of Jaeger, 6 Coronas, and you're just bang, 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 bang. And then after you're a slinger, you become a mixologist, where okay, you get more into detail with ingredients and flavor profiles and stuff like that. And then after you've done that, that's when you become a bartender. So people are like, oh, what are you, a mixologist? I'm like, no, I'm a bartender. I'm doing this for 20 years. I'm just a bartender. And that's it. Because like, you got to get everything. It's just like everything else that gets blown out of proportion, you know, and you just got to take it in stride.
Well, aren't the people at Subway sandwich architects or, you know, something like that?
See, but I appreciate that title because they got to deal with a whole bunch of crap.
Sure.
Worse than any bartender does.
Well, you'll have to take a little bit of time now to thank some people. And how can we find you online?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So I'm only on Instagram. I don't do the Facebook or any of that stuff. Like I never even wanted to do any social media.
That's convenient though.
But like 8-9 years ago, one of the places that I was working for, they were like, you have to have, you know, Instagram. So that's how I started it. So my Instagram is Bill Binder. Bill Binder the third, Bill Binder III. And then you can find the Bill Binder Show. We just started doing that on IGTV. We're going to do that from now on. We were doing it on YouTube, but IGTV is just easier. Yeah, cool. So you could find all the past episodes of the Bill Binder Show on YouTube. Binder Stash. You can find the actual trailer of the first season of Binder Stash that's on YouTube. We kind of leaked that out there, but that's where you find all the other stuff. So yeah, just Instagram, literally. That's cool. It, basically, in YouTube.
Yeah, and we'll put a link in the description of the episode.
Yeah, cool.
And then people you want to thank?
People I want to thank. She Will Films, Emily, who's sitting outside, and I can't wait to see her face after when we walk out. She's like, "You're an idiot. I can't believe you said all that." She's the one that pushed me to take the leap to do this TV show, and she kind of keeps me in line. Everybody who I've met in the whiskey community, you know, that's cool, that have become my friends. You guys are awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, my mom. You know what you want to do.
Got to.
My mom is like the biggest partier ever. Like, I have become her chaperone in my later years, and you know, without her, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So I thank her and you know, all my friends, you know, everywhere that have pushed me to be where I am right now.
Well, I know I can say this just as Mike would. You're a dude just like us, and we appreciate you coming in, man.
Thanks for having me. You guys are awesome.
Well, boys, until
Cheers.
next time.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast, brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters